It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome. Welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting in an actual free state. I have to tell you, I'm always glad to be here. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight, or listening live, or listening in podcast, or listening in your truck, maybe playing it on your phone, listening inside the cab. American truckers, you keep California and the rest of the states, always spelled with a K, moving. I am your Conservative Sherpa. I am guiding you throughout the maelstrom of Demorat, Leftist, and Globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. And please note, what you're about to watch and hear on the show tonight consists of my opinions only and or those of my guests. No guests tonight. I am doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America, one leftist diaper at a time. And I got to tell you this, we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversations. We're still serving stiff drinks in the saloon along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, and common sense for normal people. So, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. So tonight, we're trying some different things. I'm streaming live on Rumble. I'm streaming live at shrmedia.com. I'm streaming live on Twitch and the SHR Media YouTube channel. And I'm streaming on X to either, well, I thought it was my own X channel, but I think I'm streaming to the Two Against Tyranny channel right now. So I'm streaming all over the place. It is October the 3rd, the year of our Lord, 2024. As I mentioned, I am busy. And I'm trying out some new backgrounds. I'm trying out some new material. Let me show you this. Now, you're listening, obviously, to the SHR Media Network, which is this. You've seen this before. I'll be starting to show this, perhaps a little bit more. And I like that. That's a nice logo. And the other one that I'm starting to share is this, because I am, in fact, your Conservative Sherpa at shrmedia.com. For the best in just about anything, go to shrmedia.com because Sackhead Sean is working diligently, long and hard. I mean hard. On shrmedia.com. I've got so much stuff right now. I could almost break this up into two shows. I know that I will not get enough time to do all of this. In the meantime, we're going to be updating some posts. We're going to be updating some breaks and some spots coming in here. We're going to have some new people who will be advertising on the show. My advertising is free, by the way. And of course, I hope everybody realizes that there is no paywall.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Here at SHR, we don't charge. All you have to do, if you want to watch this live on Rumble, you can go ahead and jump in. All you have to do is just sign up. I want to emphasize that. I think perhaps I've been neglectful in telling people that if you want to be here in Rumble, because this is where I'm directly streaming to first, is Rumble, right over here. It's not a paywall. You don't need to spend any money. It's like a lot of other websites, if you want to look at some content, something like that, they want you to sign up. So, okay, sign up, no cash. Very easy. And because it's me, would anybody be surprised if technology wasn't completely cooperative with me? Well, we have some things to do and some places to be seen, and we'll start right here.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every alder crap in the 50 wards.
And so go to HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values, a city of big shoulders. And I told you last time this is why I do it, so I'm just going to jump into it right now. Final September totals versus 2023 in Chicago, a leftist Demorat stronghold. Shot and killed 45. Shot and wounded 253, total shot 298. By the way, that's up 10%. Total homicides 49. That's versus 2003. Week in progress, September 29th to October the 5th. Shot and killed 7, shot and wounded 46, total shot 53, total homicide 7. Year to date, this is impressive. Shot and killed 419, shot and wounded 2,002, total shot 2,421 persons, total homicides 473. That means that in the city of Chicago, run by Demorats and leftists, a person is shot every 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and a person is murdered every 15 minutes in Chicago, clearly illustrating Chicago values.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every alder crap in the 50 wards.
It's a great spot. I'm going to be having some more departments opening up. By the way, one of them will have to do with about how insane leftists are. But fear not. Don't think that I don't have some of these in store for you right now. Hello? Can you go? Producer.
The bloviating
Quiet. How about this?
It's time for happy stories and good times.
I knew I can do it. So here's a happy story. Let's take a peek at it. Judge rules that the Biden administration violated by the way, that should be the Harris Biden administration, violated environmental law in halting the border wall construction. So what occurred is A federal judge ruled in favor of a southern border rancher, an individual who had argued that the Biden administration had violated environmental law in its haste to reverse its predecessor's border policies in 2021. Now, this rancher's name is Stephen Smith. He's part of the lawsuit, the Massachusetts Coalition for Immigration Reform et al. Versus the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, challenging the Biden administration. So under NEPA, a federal agency must conduct an environmental assessment to determine whether a federal action has the potential to cause significant effects on the human environment, according to the EPA itself. They violated that. Woohoo! Consider that one for us. There's another happy story. Kamala's husband, happy only insofar as somebody actually wrote this. I'm rather surprised because the American media maggots certainly wouldn't. Well, this is from Breitbart.com. Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff, is accused of assaulting a woman back in 2012. 3 friends of the alleged victim, who the Daily Mail only identifies with the pseudonym Jane, have come forward alleging Emhoff, quote, struck the woman in the face so hard she spun around. I believe there's some video for that. So let's see if we have the video of what happened in the Emhoff backyard.
Larry, you can't just... Oh, Larry! Oh, are you all right? How did... Larry! Righto, what's going on here? Oh, sir, I'm arrested. Oh.
The slap.
So it's really sad that something like that occurred. Don't you feel very sad? The poor people subject to Doug Emhoff. And if you happen to believe that's a real video, shame on you. Here's another happy story from American Military News. This didn't get out. I'm sure you're shocked as to how and why that this didn't get out. By the way, I'm looking over here. And already in chat, we have Simone Says and SP Lewis. So welcome to those people who are in chat. By the way, if you want to be in chat, the chat that I monitor is on Rumble, rumble.com. I just don't have the coordination or the producer or the smarts to be able to monitor any other location. So you can jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room. Go to rumble.com where you're watching the show right now and click on a little button that says live chat, and you'll see a whole bunch of really cool people that are in live chat. Be with them. Be one with them. Be unified with them. From the American Military News, 200 plus. Remember the 51 intelligence experts who testified and wrote this voluminous letter, false, that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Of course, that was incredible bullshit. This is not. 200 former generals and admirals endorse President Trump. Over 200 retired U.S. military generals and admirals signed a letter on Monday endorsing former President Donald Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. And this is significant because if you recall, it was Demorats, leftists, and the American media maggots who were crowing that, oh, Donald Trump has so disrespected our American military. Well, if that's true, then why was this letter drafted in the first place? It was released on Monday by Flag Officers for America, more than 200 retired military leaders announcing they were endorsing Trump for president. They described the upcoming November election as the most important election since the founding of America. And I got to tell you, quite true, I think that's correct. They described it not only as the most important, they also said, we are at an historical crossroad where we must either choose to stand for our Constitution and its underlying traditional values, which have made America great, or we continue down the path the current administration's top leadership is taking into the deadly abyss of socialism and authoritarian cultural Marxism. Absolutely true. Here's another story that kind of comes out of my backyard, if you will. Our governor is named Brad Little. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Today, I like him. Republican Idaho Governor Brad Little cheered Boise State University's women's volleyball after the team decision to forfeit their Saturday game against San Jose State, from California, always spell it with a K, who quietly added a trans player to their team in April. So Little applauded the team for ensuring player safety and continuing the fight for fairness in women's sports. He wrote, "I applaud Boise State for working within the spirit of my executive order, the Defending Women's Sports Act." Little posted on Friday, along with the statement from Boise State Volleyball. "We need to ensure player fairness and safety for all the female athletes, the, actual female athletes, and continue the fight for fairness in women's sports." I gotta say, that's a happy story. Well, this one is too. Now, what I'm going to do with this is, for the people that are watching, you'll be able to see the translation, but I'm going to speak the translation.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So that the people who may be listening later, either they if they're in a vehicle, they shouldn't be watching the show, or if they happen to be on Spreaker, which is audio only. So I'm going to set this up a little bit, and then I'm going to read the translation. So what happened is that Macron, the French president, started a fight with the Italian prime minister, Giorgia Meloni. So essentially what happened is she kind of wiped the floor with him. So you can hear her, and I will translate for you.
Questo si chiama franco CFA.
This is called the CFA franc. It's the colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, to which it applies seigniorage and virtue by which it exploits the resources of these nations. This is a child who works in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. That's an African country. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. France prints colonial money for Burkina Faso, which has gold. In return, they demand that 50% of everything that Burkina Faso exports ends up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that this child goes down a tunnel to extract, she's showing a photo, mostly ends up in the French coffers. So the solution is not to take the Africans and bring them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain oppressors and allow these people to live off what they have. Well, boom, bada boom. If that's not a happy story, I don't know what is. Giving Emmanuel Macron a little dish of his own. Here's another happy story. This is from America First Report. Election integrity win. Federal judge deals blow to Arizona's Democrat Secretary of State. A federal judge, that's important, has temporarily blocked a rule put in place by Arizona Secretary of State that would have allowed him to certify the 2024 election, even counties delayed certification due to claims of voter fraud. So this judge, a federal judge by the name of Michael T. Liberty, said in his ruling that Arizona's Democrat Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes, risked Disenfranchising voters. Stop. You've heard that word before, haven't you? Disenfranchising voters. That's the terminology that Demorats, leftists, and globalists use against us, conservatives. So, back at you. Risked disenfranchising voters by certifying an election, even if some votes weren't certified by the counties. This will allow challenges and even investigations to proceed if credible reports of voter fraud are made. So, let's chat about this just for a second. I'm sure you've conjured, why do Democrats, leftists, and globalists want literally everybody to vote? If they could have it, they would have illegals voting as well. And in some local elections, New York, I believe, is one of them. And certainly, I think San Francisco is as well. Illegal invaders can vote in local elections, like for mayor, that sort of thing. Not in federal elections. The push is coming for illegal invaders to vote in federal elections. And the only reason for that is for votes. Now, we've focused primarily on the southern border. There are stories coming out more recently that our northern border is becoming a little bit more porous than we would want from others coming in from other countries. And I've said before, I'll say it again, just for the leftist amongst you. I couldn't care if Lily White Norway, the Netherlands, Iceland was on our southern border. I would feel the same way. Lonnie Poindexter's phrase, paint job, has absolutely zero to do with it. It's respecting the laws of the country with which you allegedly would like to become a member. And it's just for votes. Just for votes. Hey, over in chat, in the quiet chat, Sackhead Sean is wishing me a good evening. And also in the chat, go to rumble.com, hit on live chat. By the way, if you would, share the show. Share and share alike. Share the show while you're watching. And if you happen to be on Rumble, also do this. Please subscribe to the show. If you subscribe, I get a porcelain bunny rabbit. And or if I'm good, because what's coming? Well, yeah, Thanksgiving is coming, but what else is coming? Christmas. If I get enough green stamps from subscriptions to Rumble, I can buy more vodka. Why wouldn't you want to do that for me? So, by the way, and I've also said jump into our palatial and sumptuous and wonderful chat room. So that was a happy story. Let's see if maybe there are more. Well, would it surprise you if there are? For the first time in decades, more voters identify as members of the GOP. A new Gallup poll says that a number of issues favor Republicans in the 2024 election because, stop, sure, it's about the presidential election, but it's also about down ballot as well. We need to make sure that we keep and take Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. It would be wonderful if we had the actual triumvirate of everything like Bush had, only he didn't have the huevos to stand up to everybody and use the power that he actually possessed, that he possessed, that the Republicans in the House possessed, that the Republicans in the Senate possessed. Because trust me, except there are some rhinos, I guess you could say, in the Senate and the House. But the job is, let's take the Oval Office. But the job is also, let's get the House and the Senate as well. So in an average of Gallup polls taken between July and September, 48% of voters surveyed either identified as Republicans or leaned Republican, while 45% of the voters identified as Democrats or leaned Democrat. 46% of voters thought the GOP was better able to handle the most important problems facing the country, as opposed to 41% who chose the Democrats. Gallup listed the issues that voters thought were most important, like the economy and immigration. It's the economy and it's immigration. Stupid. But here's the deal. And I will always, always, always say this. I go back to Mr. Helms. Mr. Helms was my civics teacher back in the 60s when everybody actually took a civics class. And the only thing I remembered from that class was this phrase: Democrats don't win elections, Republicans lose them. Most every election has been ours to lose. Don't do it now. That means that you have to show up. If your state can vote early, lawfully, do it. I'm going to do it. If the Demorats can do it, we can do it too. If it's legal, get out the vote. Get out the early vote. Register people. And mostly, if you wait until November 5th, get out there, whether it's raining or storming. Get out there and do it. Now, you've probably heard, what do I have? I got about 4 minutes before the bottom of the hour break. You've probably heard that there's a Hurricane Helene that has decimated good portions of the eastern coast, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, on up. Those have kind of historically been Republican strongholds. So would it surprise you to know or realize that people on the left side of the aisle are hurrahing the fact that, not kidding, there are numerous, I have more videos than you can shake a stick at tonight. I won't be able to play them, of people crowing about how folks that were impacted in these states by the hurricane, good for them. You know, they probably deserved it because it also keeps them from voting. And that's how these people think. So that was a happy story. Let us move on if we can. We're going to talk about this because things have changed. Now, the dock workers strike was, I believe, 3 days old now. And it locked up a ton of ports. And because of doing so, people like myself went out and thought, you know, what's going to happen? I'm going to go to my storage facility and I'm going to use the TP that I had from 4 years ago when I was stocking up from COVID. Well, apparently the dock workers union did arrive at a tentative agreement. And what they've agreed to do is, as they negotiate back and forth, they've put the strike off until I believe it's January 15th. So striking U.S. dock workers are going to go back to work on Friday, tomorrow, after reaching a tentative agreement with employers on an improved wage offer. So they wanted 77%, a 77% increase over the next 6 years, and guaranteed job security and safety from automation. The conditional offer, like I said, was 62%. That offer's on the table for the next 90 days. So if that, some kind of an agreement is not agreed upon or reached in that time frame, that hike is going to be pulled from the table. So they're dealing with the ILA, which is the International Longshoremen's Association. And they represent about 45,000 striking U.S. workers. And the date so far, as of today, it could change next week, is January 15th to return to the bargaining table to negotiate all the other outstanding issues. So they have decreed up until January 15th, effective immediately, all current job actions are going to cease and all work covered by the master contract will resume. And that's what the union said in a statement. Now, we're going to go to a break. And when I come back, I'm going to let you know more about the information that perhaps you hadn't heard from the boss of this particular union, a little information about him, and a little bit of a background about the strike and him and what it is that those folks wanted. They didn't get it, but will they? I'm not exactly sure. Might they? Well, Christmas is coming.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Unleash Jeremy Hansen, the most explosive pro-American podcast on the planet. Pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-conservative. Come join the resistance. Fight for what really matters in America. 5 p.m. Central on UJHLive.com, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or MAGAbook.com. Come join the resistance and fight for America. Unleash Jeremy Hansen.
Do you value yourself, your family, your friends? Want to know more about how to survive, thrive, and stay alive in these dynamic times? Listen to Around the Campfire with Kate, Thursday nights and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, only on PSN TV. That's Around the Campfire with Kate. News that nobody in the MSM wants to report. Remember, train hard, train smart to survive, thrive, and stay alive.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I am BZ, one each. The first half hour is gone. Vumo, like that. Most rapidamente. I have good news coming up on potentially two fronts. So welcome back. Jump into our sumptuous palatial chat room. And Resplendent, I keep forgetting Resplendent, which looks something like this. And also, if you would, subscribe to the show. Just click that little subscribe button, and then right next to it, kind of at the bottom, is a little thumbs up. kind of thingy like that. So click the subscribe button and you'll get notifications for future shows. And let me know that you like the content, and we will keep producing the content because we hope that you do, in fact, like it. So a couple of things. We have a new member we hope will be coming very soon, a new member to SHR, which is Earl Jackson. Now, Earl is Big E Jackson. He's in charge of Mission Ready Men, and we hope to have him on SHR sometime in the not too terribly distant future. We're still hammering out negotiations, what kind of a car he's going to be driving. He's angling for the Mercedes. We're angling for the Daihatsu. That's the one with a little flatbed on the back. But hey, it's cool because you can move stuff if you need to, like your Christmas tree or frozen turkeys, something like that. We're haggling with the contractuals right now. And then there may be somebody else who's coming back to radio who was just on one of our promos there that you listened to. And I'm going to try to see if he would like to consider simulcasting on the SHR Media Network. And by the way, I should also say this, go to shrmedia.com for great content, if you will, pretty please. That'd be wonderful. Well, we were talking about the dock workers strike. And there's something kind of, I don't know, a little off about what happened. I have to kind of put it in this fashion. How tone deaf are these guys? Apparently fairly tone deaf. When was the last time that you got a 77% raise for anyone anywhere, for any organization or any union, ramping up in 6 years? And on top of that, you got a guarantee. Your job is guaranteed. It's immured. It's etched in stone. Dankety dank, dank, dank. The chips falling where they may. When's the last time that happened? And then something odd also was happening. We'll get to the storm. We'll get to the funding. That's a separate issue unto itself. But I'd like to play this. It's one of those videos where you look at it and you listen to the guy, what he's saying. He's a trucker. Now, what he's saying is factual because it's backed up with facts. And I've read the story on this any number of times, just not here in the saloon yet. But let's listen to what this guy has to say. And then his information will be backed up. But this is one of those things where, what? Who? Why? And for what reason? Because there are people behind this. And if you can see, it says we are under attack from within. Okay, what's this guy? What does he have to say?
Hey guys, off-grid Dom here. I was just notified. I'm a truck driver, in case anybody wasn't aware. So I got connections with the ports and the railroads and other drivers. 51 truck drivers. 51 trucks who were delivering goods. They were on their way to deliver supplies down to the devastated areas of Hurricane Helene. Well,
okay, copy that. He's going to, and these trucks are going to deliver much needed supplies.
They pulled into a truck stop to get fuel. Every single one of their trucks, all their tires were slashed. Every one of them. Yet, all the other drivers that had nothing to do with what they were doing, they were okay. I'm sorry, if you don't see a problem with that, does anybody else find that highly questionable?
Now watch. I'm going to stop this. This part is also true. Now, what he's doing is he's discerning a difference between truckers who were driving relief supplies in a truck stop who had their tires slashed and all the other truckers who had nothing to do with relief supplies were untouched. This is a true story. During the night at 3 truck stops on I-40 in Tennessee, they were hit by an unknown activist, person or persons or group at the moment, according to the truck manager. The TA truck stop in Denmark, Tennessee had 50 truck tires stabbed with holes in the sidewalls. Then at the Love's truck stop at exit 126 in Holiday, Tennessee, where 5 tires, sidewalls stabbed several times on the driver's side were cut on a particular truck, and several other trucks as well. One guy had 9 tires stabbed on his truck. Then at exit 163, Love's truck stop in Dixon, Tennessee, was also hit with tires stabbed on the sidewall of the trucks. Companies have put out alerts for their truck drivers, and then another trucker on another story that's not in this said that as he began to drive, something was wrong with the truck and the tires, got out to discover that the lugs on his wheels had been loosened. Now, to me, and especially if you are a trucker, that's not only dangerous, that could be considered an attempt essentially to kill you. By the way, in case you're curious, if you're an independent trucker, you pay for those tires. Those tires can be up to $500 each. If the wheels themselves are damaged, that's even more. But this is a story that occurred. Now, you better be asking yourself, okay, to what end? Why? Who? What doesn't want relief materials to get to much needed states that are in critical distress right now? That's just one of those situations, one of those stories where you have to ask yourself, cui bono? Who benefits? I don't know. Is this at the behest of the government? Does someone just hate the United States and doesn't want necessary emergency supplies delivered? I wish I had an answer for that. I do not. Now, I told you before the break, I would give you a little bit of information about this guy, the union boss, Harold Daggett, and he's behind and coordinating these strikes. They did come to an agreement today, and it's going to be a certain percentile, not the 77% that they initially want, and it's going to be up for negotiation. That will expire January 15th. So they have agreed tomorrow, Friday, if it's Friday where you are right now. That's not yet Friday on the East Coast, but it's closing in. They're going to be going back to work at the ports. But this guy, Harold Daggett, now, have the American media maggots said much about him? Not particularly. Who was negotiating? Why were they negotiating? Why weren't they negotiating before? And why was the Commerce Secretary for the United States of America a cabinet position? Why wasn't the Commerce Secretary aware of what was going on? Because essentially, the ILA was telegraphing this strike for quite some time. So apparently, this Harold Daggett dude, I did the math. He makes $173,000 a year from his local. And then the rest of that money comes from him being the boss of the ILA, International Longshoremen's Association. So I did the math, and he makes $901,000 a year. That's almost $1 million. So this dude is a millionaire. And apparently some people thought that he may have been linked somehow to the mafia. As I said, he's a millionaire, makes almost $1 million a year. He is a staunch advocate for blue-collar workers. He owns a yacht, and he drives a Bentley. Now, I've heard two stories. He drives a Bentley, and he drives a Maybach. Well, a Bentley, depending on what year it is, if you bought it new, can range anywhere from $200,000 to $250,000 for a car. Now, a Maybach, if in fact he has or had a Maybach, was originally made by the company Maybach itself. They have a history in racing, and then they were later bought up, I think, by Daimler-Benz, which is basically Mercedes, in right around 2003, somewhere around there. Well, if you bought a Maybach 57, for example, when they were made by Maybach, depending on what you got in the car, they would be around $450,000 to $500,000 each for a car. So if it's a Mercedes Maybach, only about $250,000. If it was an actual Maybach, like a 57 or the limo version, yeah, depending on how it was spec'd, you'd be running about anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 to possibly $450,000. No problemo. But he's in charge of the guys that want a 77% raise. Also, last year, he threatened to shut down the 36 ports covered by this union if money-crazy shipping companies refused to issue wage hikes and protections for workers against industry automation. So here's the deal. This industry, like so many others, is facing the contra-temps of automation. Has your job been automated? Perhaps it has. Perhaps there is some kind of automation in the future. AI is pretty much going to guarantee automation of many jobs on many levels. But during times of inflation like this, something tells me that this dude and this strike is just a wee bit tone deaf. And so, in my opinion, not a particularly good look on the ILA, and not a particularly good look for a guy who is beyond damned wealthy. Just kind of keep that in mind before you start going, I feel so bad for the dock workers. You ought to read everything you possibly can before you weep for the dock workers. Now, are their jobs potentially automatable? Maybe. A lot of that is coming in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But wouldn't it be nice if somewhere you had a union that was negotiating for you, that no matter how much money it saved, well, your union just was strong enough to say, our jobs are more specialer than anybody else's jobs. So I guess you can't fault the union. You can't fault the workers for trying to protect themselves. But in today's day and age, there was a time during the exploding railroads, for example. Yeah, belonging to a union ended up being the difference between being trampled upon by the railroads, which were essentially paramilitary organizations having come from the Civil War, and the leaders, the administrators of most railroads, were generals, and that's how they ran their railroads, like a paramilitary organization. And then, of course, many union workers were shot and killed in strikes. You don't see too much of that happening.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
These days. And then you go back to the trucker that we just heard from. A lot of this crap just doesn't pass the smell test. As this was previously said, who's going to support workers' families? Machines? Machines don't have families. Okay. Wouldn't it be great if we all could have protections like that? Well, we can't. But here's the difference between the dock workers and you. If the ILA decides to shut down, as they did, 36 ports all around the United States, down through the Chemical Coast, the East Coast, the West Coast, and it costs shippers and you, through supply chains, billions, plural, of dollars a day, my guess is you don't have quite that pull wherever it is that you work. So, as a look in general, in terms of tone deafness, maybe not so bueno. Well, let's look at the people that we were talking about. Now, Sackhead Sean had an entire show earlier this week. I don't remember what day, but it went on for 2 or 3 hours, where he was trying to help get supplies and donations to the people that really needed it on the East Coast, from Florida on up. A great effort by Sackhead Sean. And yet, oddly enough, funding for Americans is becoming an issue. So here's a story from ABC News indicating that FEMA, Homeland Security, DHS, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said, well, we might not have enough funding to last through the hurricane season. Really? I'd like to throw a few things up in front of you for comparison. The offer was, through the Harris-Biden administration, $750 for Americans in desperate need. Many of them lost everything, including family. Many of those people don't know where their family members are. There are hundreds dead and hundreds missing. And if you've been witness to any of the videos or the still photos, and you've been watching TV, it's a terrible, terrible situation. In the meanwhile, back in D.C., $250 billion is spent in Ukraine, which, now, this is some interesting math. Note how this works. Ukraine has a population of plus or minus 38 million. So what that works out to be is $6,500 per person in Ukraine. Oh, and how much do actual Americans who are affected by Hurricane Helene get? Yeah, $750. This is another interesting aspect. Now, so far, the United States, by way of the Harris-Biden regime, has given $24 billion, that's low, to Ukraine. Money to Israel, $1,950,000 to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, 1.6 to Egypt, 1.1 to Afghanistan, 1.1 to Somalia, 1.0 to Yemen, our enemy, 987 million to Congo, 896 to Syria, $9,000 per illegal well, they say immigrant, I'll say invader, that has entered the United States. And Americans who lost everything to Hurricane Helene get $750, courtesy of FEMA. So let's see. When everything is perfect in a perfect world and you get your check for $750 despite having your entire world ripped out at the roots, let's see. If there's a Costco left, I guess you can go to Costco. And that'll take care of the Costco and maybe the gas in your car that you probably already lost too. So I don't know, maybe you're walking to Costco. This is from Florida Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. $941 million of FEMA funding went to illegals. She says it's unacceptable and should be illegal. This could be used to house Pinellas County residents. And this. Well, leftist strongholds want you to be sure that you're on the electric grid. So this is an interesting notation, things that helped me survive Hurricane Helene. A gas car, a gas stove, a gas hot water heater, a gas chainsaw, and cash. Things that were useless during Helene: electric cars, electric appliances, debit cards, the city bus, the government, diversity, and my tax dollars in Ukraine. So Mayorkas is saying the agency is being stretched as it works with states to assess damage from Hurricane Helene and delivers meals, water, generators, and other critical supplies. And it struck Florida and then went up north. So he wasn't specific, DHS Secretary Mayorkas, about how much additional money the agency may need, but his remarks on Air Force One underscored concerns voiced by President Joe and some lawmakers earlier this week that Congress may need to pass a supplemental spending bill this fall to help states with recovery efforts. Okay. Anybody besides me wanting to vomit because of this? Well, yes, that would be me. So let's look at this. Under the Under the Harris-Biden administration, billions of dollars were budgeted to FEMA. They were spent on welcome centers for illegal invaders, asylum seekers, refugees, food and shelter for them. The U.S. stockpile of transformers and other electrical equipment for U.S. disasters, the majority of those were given to Ukraine gratis. Well, VP Kamala Harris promises a whopping $750, like I've indicated, for hurricane victims if they can submit an application online. FEMA is now confiscating supplies donated to private volunteers, churches, shelters, stopping private citizens from helping. Oh, yay, FEMA. By the way, everybody, you'd better realize by now that if your government is involved, FEMA is not a first responder. Your federal government is not a first responder. DHS will not respond. The FBI couldn't care less about you. The CIA, the NRO couldn't care less about you. The DOJ couldn't care less about you. The federal government is not a first responder. Who's responsible for your immediate needs? You are, and your families, because you're in this nation under this regime. You're on your own, which is why, as I indicated with the sheriff, Dan Wilson, whom I interviewed a couple of times, running for sheriff in Kootenai County, has said, it's stuff like this that I need to prepare for as sheriff to make sure that I take care of my people in my county, because FEMA and the feds are not an emergency responder. They are not a first responder. You will not see them soon. Sometimes you just don't see them. So FEMA and the media reported 200 have died due to Helene. On the ground reporting states over 500 body bags have already been used. So could it be that your federal government is already lying to you? Reports of missing children are on the rise, including disappearing from shelters.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Private airspace was shut down so that the POTUS and VP Harris could do a flyover of floodlands, hindering air operations for the victims of Helene. And this is interesting. Vice President Harris was put in charge of a project called EO, Earth Observation, almost 2 years ago to ensure that everybody has internet access. They rejected Elon Musk's Starlink. Well, why would that be? Perhaps because then they can't control the information flow. They budgeted billions of dollars for this and it went nowhere. Do you see any of the results from that money showing up to help you? So what actually occurred is this: Elon Musk, on his own accord, brought Starlink to help get internet service restored to areas without electricity. The government then reaches out after the fact to contract out Starlink like it was their idea. Why didn't we think of this? Well, it's our idea anyway. And of course, illegal invaders have already been arrested for pillaging and looting areas hit by the disaster. Illegal invaders have been already arrested for abusing children whose parents have died in the flooding. I could go on. Why not? Now there's another 2 minutes or so until the top of the break. When we come back, this is a story that now there's a conflict here. Let me see if you can see this. FEMA has funds needed for immediate response and recovery, despite Mayorkas's warning. Wait a minute. Okay. We're going to come back and talk about this. So, as I've said many times, when you're dealing with the federal government, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying big time. So, either Mayorkas is lying, or the people who are on his administration that aren't in his immediate regime, are they lying? So, if there's money available, where's it going? If there's money not available, why? Why do we need a supplemental bill, more money for emergencies? And then perhaps the final question should be something similar to this. Various coasts, Florida, the southern coast, these areas on the East Coast and in Florida have been hit historically by terrible hurricanes for years. How is it that no one, especially when the government was paying for NIMS, SEMS, they were throwing out tons of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars to law enforcement back after Katrina, because that was a thing that Bush cocked up, well, that local governments cocked up too, because Bush was accused of it all. But you had people in New Orleans living in a stadium under terrible conditions. Do we not see these things coming? Or is money simply being funneled into local agencies and the federal government, and they get spent elsewhere? I think I just may have answered my own question. Why and how does that work? Can we solve it?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
Come listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, for the best in late-night conservatarian wireless talk radio at shrmedia.com. Raised as a free-range child with dirt and freedom, BZ is broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room at shrmedia.com. Now, with 18% more umbrage and 20% more bulbosity than previous shows, and with delicious Liberty additives. Remember, BZ realizes that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EDL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I'm back. Welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I am the aforementioned BZ. Thank you so kindly for watching tonight. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share the show. Each subscription that I get, I told you about what I can either get a porcelain Dalmatian, I can get more vodka, okay? Because it's like the other vegetables aren't even working very much, except for, as Sackhead Sean pointed out so rightly, inappropriately, I think it was day before yesterday. Well, okay, except for corn. Corn apparently is doing its share. That is something to which he can attest. Thanks for being here. By the way, go to @2against-tyranny on Twitter, on X. Jeez, that's where SHR resides. And you can also watch our shows live there as well. And then I theoretically should be broadcasting this show live on Twitter, X, @BZ's Saloon. Recently got back on Twitter. I kind of missed it for a while. Elon is starting to make some money again on this, but boy, I want to tell you, Elon is absolutely despised. So before the break, this was the story. So Mayorkas says, no, we don't have any money. We're out of money, and it's going to tax us to give you peons if you deign to survive it. You know, maybe you survive, maybe you don't. If you do, $750. Add that taps us out, as opposed to Ukraine. So DHS said Thursday the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has the funds needed for immediately response and recovery in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Well, wait. Why then is DHS Secretary Mayorkas kvetching about a lack of cash? As I said, somebody's lying. It's either him or it's DHS. and the various other administrators. I'm going to say it's Mayorkas. Let's also bring up this. Let me stop this for a second. I discovered this. See, the nice thing about being back on Twitter, let me get out of this for a second. The nice thing about being back on Twitter is the more media and more stories I can acquire and bring to people, because I am your conservative Sherpa. I'm guiding you through this maelstrom of chaos, and it's damn chaos. But being back on Twitter, X, allows me to see other additional stories that probably, I wouldn't have been able to see on, say, Facebook or some other social media sites, because leftists are not quite in gonad-crushing control yet of X, Twitter. So we discovered that there are some citizens now being denied aid by Kamala Harris's FEMA. Nobody I know, this guy is going to say, has had immediate assistance. I went on FEMA, I applied, and I immediately got denied. So let's listen to what this gentleman has to say.
I just saw the video of Kamala Harris in my hometown, Augusta, Georgia, speaking to people like everything's going to be okay. She's sitting here telling us that go online, apply. Well, okay, hundreds of us still don't have power, internet services. Sure, we can get to it. We can fight. We can apply. We can get on it for immediate assistance. Well, I went on because we split. We went to Columbia right away and got our hotel room. Now, luckily, we're in an Airbnb. This is a place that we get to live. I get to give my kids some hot water, some power, some food, just some comfort, something to help them know that this is going to be okay while our house is back home destroyed and filling up with water. The floors are caving in. Hundreds of people. That's happening to everybody around the city. Like I said, we still don't have water, still don't have power. Slowly it's getting restored. And I think all the linemen that are out there working so hard from all the other states, they're the only ones that are actually getting things done, not the freaking government, because you're telling us to go online to FEMA and apply.
Okay, did you notice what he said, by the way? All the linemen.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
From other states. Other surrounding states are sending their people, their linemen, to go in and help in these affected areas.
And you'll get immediate help for $750. Well, okay, I went on FEMA, I applied, and I immediately got denied. Because apparently I have homeowners insurance and that's going to cover that. And okay, sure, I know it will. It'll get taken care of. Thank God we're all safe and alive. I know it's just things. It's a house, but it's not immediate. And I don't know, what is she talking about? I have no idea. Nobody I know has had immediate assistance. Nobody's $750. What, to our Cash App? What are you going to get? How are we going to do this? How are we going to get this? So then if we get the $750, that'll barely cover the groceries that we've all lost in our freezers and refrigerators and everything. Also, there's thousands of pine trees, just like this one, and oak trees, and all these trees all over the entire city. Power lines are everywhere. They're ripped apart. Poles are down. Transformers are down. It's going to take weeks to get this repaired in some places. So people are going around. There's tree people that are going around riding through neighborhoods. Hey, you guys need help? Come on. Some of them are trying to get you to sign a contract right there on the spot. No quote, no money down. We're just going to get to work. Okay, so then a lot of times you have to bring in a crane. There's trees on all these houses. So now we have to get a crane to pick up the tree. Okay, the crane rents $3,500. Awesome. And then the groundwork is, I was told, $150 per hour, $185 per hour, just until the work's done. And you just have to trust this, that it's going to get done. And you have to pay out of pocket. And then your insurance will cover it and they'll cut you a check. And so $750, man, that's gonna,
sure they will.
That'll definitely take care of it. I don't know what I want her to do, but just that was flat out insulting, and she just didn't seem to have any regard, any care for what was going on. They flew her into our literal airport, drove her right to a disaster place, set her up a little podium with, oh, look at this house with trees in it. This looks awesome. Let's do this. Man, I bet you she didn't spend 10 minutes driving around looking at that place. I have no idea. But it's just, it's so, and I know we don't even have it as bad. We have deaths in our area, but we're, compared to people in North Carolina who are absolutely trapped. And
by the way, if you haven't seen some of the videos and some of the photographs coming out of North Carolina, it's like you're in an apocalyptic scene from a movie. Then add deaths. Then add the stink of death. Animals, people, pets, all of it.
The entire town's gone. This thing completely obliterated the Southeast. And I don't know what to even do to fix it. I don't have answers. I don't know. But I know that her coming on and saying immediate help, $750 is going to be given to those. What the hell is that? What are we supposed to do with that? And what immediate help? What are you talking about? People are going knocking door to door. Who has power, who has don't. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell who can have power and who doesn't. It's just, and then what are you going to do? You're going to give them $750 right there at the door. Is that them? Is that what's happening? Or is it going to be sit tight, we're coming, here's some cheese and some bread?
Well, you can understand his concern. And the thing about him is he at least readily admits he's not in the worst situation. So I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, learn lessons. Life is here for you to learn lessons. And lesson number one is this federal government couldn't give a shit whether you live or die. Actual Americans are not their priority. Not now, not in the past. And certainly, if Kamala Harris wins, you will not be an actual American, will not be a priority in the future. Learn this lesson. Be prepared. Crazy things can and will happen now, and it will only get a little bit more crazy and nutty in the future. Now, I want you to hear let me see if I can get this. Okay. Oh, I'll go to this. I'll do this first. There's another person. And I found this on X, on Twitter. If you have little kids within the sound of my voice, and I have made and am attempting to continue to make an effort to tone down my F and S words. Sometimes poop and nasties just slip out. Be advised, this next video for, 2.5 minutes, something like that. This is unexpurgated emotion from people who are directly affected, and these are not happy people. And you can understand their anger and their concern because we have seen this material before and we have not learned. Government has not learned. There are, I am sure, we know for a fact billions, multiple billions of dollars have gone to people that don't deserve it at your expense.
I had to come outside of my house to make this video because my family is, they're traumatized right now, okay? In case you missed it, FEMA's got no money to help anybody in our country. FEMA, they're done. FEMA spent their money on housing fucking illegals and giving fucking debit cards and fucking housing and, whatever they can do. You want a ticket? You want to go to fucking, the Florida Keys? No, we'll send you down there. Go enjoy the Roosters.
And that's what Mayorkas said. They're out of money.
FEMA can't do shit. So this dirty, and I'm gonna say a cocksucking piece of shit vice president. You know what she said? Oh well, we're gonna give you $750. $750? Oh, you big fucking spender. You big fucking spender. How about this? How about you keep your fucking money? You go enjoy your fucking Julia Roberts, Oprah Winfrey fucking put on a show because you're trying to win an election bullshit, okay? You might want to take your fucking VP and get him some lessons in being an adult and get him some fucking diapers because he definitely soiled his pants last night, okay? Let us handle this. FEMA, fuck you. America, it's time to step up. We are going to step up. We are going to deliver, and we are going to go into North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, wherever we have to go because we take care of ours. And I'll tell you right now, you're in New York City, you're a fucking illegal, get your ass out of our hotels. Get your fucking ass out of our hotels. You know what? Fuck it. We don't even want the fucking Roosevelt back. We don't want any of the hotels back because these dirty, disgusting dirtbags that this fucking administration brought in, they ruined it all to shit. They ruined it to shit. We'll take Americans into our fucking homes and we'll do what we got to do. I am disgusted. I am mortified. I am annoyed. But I will tell you this. If you follow me, I posted about it. There's going to be a collection. We're going to be collecting a lot of shit, okay? I'm going to be headed down to North Carolina. I have my SUV. If I can load up, we're going to load up. Worst case scenario, I got to rent the U-Haul. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, I got to rent a couple of Mack trucks. I have CDL drivers. We can get it down there. I got a place to go in Plymouth, North Carolina. They will get it out to Western North Carolina. We are going to show them that, you know what? The government doesn't give a fuck about you because they don't even know who the fuck they are right now, okay? Kamala's worried about getting smacked by a fucking alcoholic husband, and Joe Biden basically shit his pants and Jill walked away. But don't worry about it because you know what? The real fucking Americans are here. We're here for you, and we got you.
Now, whether you agree with her verbiage or not, Americans are pissed when they see that they are second-class citizens in their own nation. And they have a right to be. They have opinions like mine because their eyes are open and they're watching what is occurring all around them. It doesn't take anything more than a 5-year-old to see what's going on in this government. If you pick up and take nothing from this show tonight, it should be, you are on your own. Your government is proving it. They've proven it before, and they're proving it again. If you count on FEMA, if you give everything that you have to government.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
A government, as is said so many times, a government big enough to give you everything that you claim that you want is big enough to either take it all away from you or show you remarkable indifference. And it's that indifference that they're showing you right now. Let's go to this story. This is from the New York Post. This confirms exactly what I said. You're on your own. Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina are fending for themselves as response from Harris FEMA underwhelms. Now, they have to be kind. I understand that. And they have to be journalists. The folks on the New York Post are more journalists than others. They are, for example, the New York Post, the people that brought us the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop, which is how I got kicked off Twitter for talking and putting an article on Twitter, the original Twitter, which was true. that 51 intelligence experts lied about that it was Russian disinformation, which it wasn't. So the New York Post, yeah, very interesting. I'd go with them. Now, you have the dock worker strike, which was kind of pushed to the side. We'll see what happens between now and January 15th. Then you had Hurricane Helene, which is a massive cluster in any number of states. And then we've got this, built upon weakness. So this tiny, tiny little country, this postage stamp of a country, is fighting. Israel is fighting Hamas in Gaza. Israel is fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel is fighting the Houthis in Yemen. And we have all these assets in the Middle East, in the Persian Gulf, in the Gulf of Oman, Aden, the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, and the Mediterranean Sea. There are any number of choke points in there that can and will be used by the forces, the terrorist forces in the Middle East. Iran has any number of nuclear facilities. And this is what the Biden administration is talking about. Basically, the Biden administration is saying, oh, no, don't touch these, Israel. Don't touch these. These are critical facilities, and you shouldn't be touching them. Here are the ranges of Iran's missiles. Iran launched missiles into Tel Aviv and to Jerusalem about 3 days ago. They didn't create that much damage. Can't necessarily say why. But you can see, depending upon the types of ballistic and cruise missiles that Iran has, their range is out to about 2,000 kilometers. Now look down there. That's a good portion of northern and northeast Africa. That's all of the Middle East. That's up into Eastern Europe. That's up into Russia. That's over into India. And Iran has that capability. Now, Israel, like I mentioned, that postage stamp, none of this makes sense. Israel is fighting all of the enemies of the United States of America. And Harris and Biden are telling Israel, back off. That makes no sense. The Harris-Biden regime still appease Iran, the fundamental source of terrorism. I cannot logically, responsibly give you a reason as to why this is. Only morons or people that legitimately despise America would continue to fund Iran. The sanctions were levied under Trump and removed under Biden, or whoever is puppeting Biden. Iran is the fundamental source of terrorism. There are no sanctions back on Iranian oil. Iran gets all of its money from oil. Terrorism gets its money from Iran. Sanction Iran again, as Trump did, and then you help to throttle terrorism. Why does the U.S. do nothing to Iran and constantly cautions Israel against standing up for itself? So I have to ask this fundamental problem. It's the same question that I've posed to any legislator, any member of the House or the Senate. When you don't back closing the border, which cartel is paying you off? Because if you don't vote to close the border and to stem the tide of illegal invaders, you're being paid off. Convince me otherwise. So with regards to Iran, the Middle East, terrorism, you have to ask yourself, who is paying off Harris, Biden, Obama, and all the other assholes who are running DC right now? Because they're being paid off. Ukraine is nothing but Biden's laundromat. And you don't, if you're Biden, you don't want your laundromat to close or to fail. So that's why Biden's laundromat takes precedence over you. Good to know. Your federal government doesn't really much care about you. Now we're going to go a little bit further. This is a story that you can read if you wish. Let's see if I got it here on shrmedia.com. And the story is MSNBC producer admits to helping Harris in the debate. Now, James O'Keefe, he had a little tete-a-tete, a little blow up, a little dust up between himself and, well, I don't remember what they were called before, but he had to give it up. James O'Keefe had to give his prior originating baby up. So he's still doing what he did before, getting in and talking to people undercover. So James O'Keefe, the founder now, because he got kicked out of his own group, of O'Keefe Media Group, he released another undercover video today. And he's talking to an MSNBC producer who works on the opinion show A-Man. I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't know who the person is. I've never watched it. Don't much care. But apparently it's a show on MSNBC, which clearly is getting worse ratings than the Parakeet Training Record and the Tibetan Bell Ringing Channel. The producer insulted MSNBC viewers, stating that the network has made their viewers dumber over the years. Now, here's a video excerpt. You can go to see this at shrmedia.com. Here's a video excerpt, and let's see.
So do you feel like MSNBC is doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can.
Meet Basil Hamden, a writer and producer for MSNBC's weekend show, Iman. Basil also reveals that, quote, what her message of the day is their MSNBC's message of the day.
What have they done to help the Harris campaign?
Amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day.
Beautiful. Hamden revealed that MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Of course.
And is doing anything to get Kamala elected. Hamden says this news network is indistinguishable from the Democratic Party.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. It hammers home the point that I'm making, that this news network is indistinguishable from the party.
Are they just the Democratic Party's mouthpiece?
Exactly.
MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Basil calls MSNBC viewers brainwashed and states that MSNBC made their viewers dumber over the years.
Okay, we're going to stop right there because I got to take a break.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Here's what I want to say before. Please support us. Please support me on Rumble. Please support SHR. And I don't mean, send us your money. No, I'm talking about send us some views. Share our shows. Give it to other people because we are under terrible times and you and everybody else need to see this information. That's why I am the Conservative Sherpa, It's my job to guide you through all this crap, and also the job of SHR Media. So we're going to be coming back right after this, and we will continue. So please subscribe. I don't want your money, not me personally. There's no Venmo thing on me. I'm fine. I'm set up. You want to help out SHR or some of the other individuals that are on SHR? Watch their shows. And please watch mine as well. We're going to be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hi, this is Eric Thompson. Please check out my new weekend review show, For Liberty's Sake, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Check out forlibertysake.com.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the final hour here in the saloon. But we'll tell you what that means in just a moment after the music passes. There's a new story that just came in, and it was sent to me by Sackhead Sean. And you can watch his show tomorrow, Edge of Liberty, on shrmedia.com at noon Pacific. And let me see if I can translate the times. That would also mean at 2 p.m. Central and 3 p.m. Eastern. So Sackhead Sean sent me this that I can only display part of, but you'll get the gist of it. This is very interesting. Elon Musk has said he'll attend the Trump rally at the Pennsylvania shooting site. We'll see how that pans out. But that's just sort of a breaking news kind of thing. Let's continue with MSNBC and James O'Keefe, who was saying that, by the way, MSNBC is in the tank, and they're in the tank for anything Demorat. They're in the tank for Kamala Harris. They're in the tank for Waltz. Whatever the Demorats say, MSNBC will dance, 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 boy, dance. Continue, James O'Keefe.
Viewers get mad at the guests or the host if the host were to criticize Democrats. They've made their viewers dumber over the years. I think brainwashing and dumbing down,
it's bad.
Aggressive.
I get it.
Helps Trump.
When she's delivering these messages now, I think she keeps getting better.
Kamala Harris is telling the truth. The hate campaign against Kamala Harris has begun. They purposefully pronounce her name wrong.
But as a black woman, the product of a mixed marriage, she's an inspiration.
I don't know, Nicole, vote for her or don't vote for her, but isn't it great to just have a positive conversation right now?
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Sure
Last
is.
week, we saw Vice President Kamala Harris's first mainstream media solo interview of her presidential run with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle. Many people were stating how much of a softball interview it was. Here's a clip from that.
I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no?
That's what passes for journalism for leftists. And it's very clear MSNBC is in the damn tank for anything that the Demorats say. So you say you want a revolution, the Beatles asked, and you say you want election interference. Well, how about this? How about this? A series of tweets which have been collected into one article from Jonathan Turley. Jonathan Turley is one of just a very slight handful of actual journalists left in the country. And so remember what happened a day or two ago? Let's let Jonathan Turley tell us about it and the concomitant election interference. This is from his, I think it's his Twitter feed or his X feed, because this got assimilated by threadreaderapp.com, which tends to put all this stuff together. So Jonathan Turley writes, Judge Chutkan, as expected, has ordered the release of the Smith filing weeks before the election. Smith fought unsuccessfully to try Trump before the election, but has now been allowed to release this scathing report. Jack Smith was clearly eager to get this out before the public debate, despite Justice Department policies that encourage prosecution to avoid acts that would be viewed as trying to influence an election, which this is precisely. This is election interference, dude. Timing is everything. Jack Smith, is trying to thread the needle in this filing to get around the Supreme Court immunity decision. Notably, Smith removed evidence from the new indictment, but kept the same claims, including conduct that seems to fall within protected areas. Jack Smith is just categorically claiming that, quote, at its core, the defendant's scheme was a private one. He extensively used private actors and his campaign infrastructure to attempt to overturn the election results and operated in a private capacity as a candidate for office. We're releasing this less than a month before the election. What Jack Smith was not willing to do, Jonathan Turley points out, is to reduce the underlying claims. The new case is to indictments where shrinkflation is to products. Same package, just less content. And Jack Smith, Jonathan Turley writes, knows that he has a motivated and a supportive judge in Judge Chutkan and wants to simply prove the basic claims on less evidence. That's election interference. That's pretty plain. That's pretty simple. Here's another story, which probably you'll only hear here on my show and or at SHR. An FBI whistleblower. This is just a few days ago. An FBI whistleblower out of the Federal Bureau of Investigation has given the American public a sobering warning about the agency and the future of the country. Now, a guy named Marcus Allen is a former FBI staff operations specialist. He warned Wednesday at the House Judiciary Select Subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. The federal government is, in fact, weaponizing. And I've said this before for quite some time. I wish I had this up here, but I don't right now. The FBI and the DOJ are nothing more than the weaponized arm of the DNC and leftists. And they are a corrupt anti-American organization and a terrorist organization. That's the FBI. This guy is essentially concurring with that. According to the House Judiciary Committee, the hearing was intended to examine how the Federal Bureau of Investigation has used its security clearance adjudication process to purge its ranks of conservatives and whistleblowers and unlawfully punish those with views contrary to FBI leadership. You knew this inherently already, did you not, ladies and gentlemen of the United States? Of course you did. You inherently intuited it because that's what's been going on for years, since 2016. It was a soft coup against a presidential candidate. It was a soft coup against a presidential nominee. It was a soft coup against a president-elect. And it was a continuing soft coup against a sitting president of the United States, Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. Everybody knows it. This guy is confirming it to the FBI. Well, as he continues, it looks like whistleblowers received charitable donations after the FBI suspended them without pay. By the way, there's a federal law against that, which the FBI clearly they couldn't care less about. It doesn't apply to us. The whistleblowers received charitable donations after the FBI suspended them without pay after coming forward, but this was not given to secure their testimony. Marcus Allen, this guy testifying, did not back down from his original testimony during his most recent appearance in front of the Congressional Committee, but he doubled down on his warnings about the out-of-control federal agency. This is a quote. In late 2021, I raised concerns about the FBI director's testimony about the January 6th Capitol riot, not out of political motivation, but out of a duty to truth and integrity. That's what the FBI says they want, they love. He continued, this act, which I believe to be in the spirit of transparency and accountability, led to unexpected and severe consequences. He said, almost exactly 3 years ago today, I forwarded news articles to my superiors and others within the FBI about January 6th. It was literally one of my job duties to keep my colleagues informed about open source intelligence as related to their cases. As a result of simply doing my job, the FBI accused me of promoting conspiratorial views and unreliable information. So then the FBI questioned my allegiance, Marcus Allen said, to the United States, suspended my security clearance, suspended my pay, and refused to allow me to obtain outside employment or even accept charity. He said his suspension lasted for 27 grueling months, during which the Bureau kept him and his family in indefinite limbo and prevented him from earning an income because, he said, the Bureau was trying to destroy him financially. We can't have information that doesn't present us in a good light coming out, is essentially what the FBI has said. Those are the people that are allegedly supposed to be concerned about your rights. And then we go back to November 5th. This is such a good video. I want to play it every time that I can on my show. So let's, again, from the words of Cammie Cackler.
My values have not changed.
Reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
The Boston Marathon bomber. They should be able to vote.
I think we should have that conversation.
Sure. Abolish ICE.
Yes.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, and I'm in favor of banning fracking. I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal. I support a mandatory buyback program. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. The idea that more police equals more safety, that's just wrong.
Policing, as we know, goes all the way back to slave patrols and that idea.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
Where do you stand on defund the police?
We need to take a look at these budgets. Do you ban
ban plastic straws.
I think we should.
70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic.
Chipping now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing.
This is why I love this video, because it is her in her own words. Understand what things mean. And understand the lies that go along with it. Remember January 6th? Remember all the lies that were trotted out against Donald Trump. No one covers this. No one keeps this tweet that Donald Trump issued on January 6th of 2021. 3 years ago, still lives large in the minds of most every Demorat, leftist, and globalist. No one wants you to see of that ilk what it is that he wrote specifically on Twitter. 3:13 p.m. I'm asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order, respect the law, and our great men and women in blue. And he also said, go to the Capitol peacefully to protest. I keep that tweet just because no one wants you to see that. Here's another story. This is from Robert Malone. He himself, who has been trampled upon by the government. Transcripts, the government lies to you, ignores you, belittles you, and leaves you out unsupported. I dare say to die. I repeat, the federal government is not a first responder. FEMA is not a first responder. $750. What happened after all this time? Let me turn this off just for a second because I wish to opine. What do we know about the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio, from that toxic train spill from BNSF? What did they get besides ruined water and ruined futures and a life probably rife with cancer because they're just hicks in some stupid Ohio town? Screw them. And what happened to the people in Maui from all these wildfires? And why did some of the government officials look as though they kept people from exiting the fire? What's happened in Lahaina, in Maui? Do we hear anything more about it? No, we don't. The government would rather that just go away. Like you cheap little morons, you redneck white people in East Palestine. You can just go away. You are no account. You're a flyover state. And what about the people that were smacked with the terrible Hurricane Helene? How many years has the federal government had to set up this stuff? How many years did federal grants go to law enforcement, training people in NIMS and SIMS? Those are organizational skills to be able to deal with emergency situations. The federal government was handing out millions of dollars of grants like candy. Did they? The federal government guaranteed can't spell NIMS, SIMS. That all went away, completely forgotten. And there, as I've said, you're on your own. This is the You're on Your Own show tonight. And this continues to prove it. Transcripts show President Trump's directives to Pentagon leadership to keep January 6th safe were deliberately ignored. This is from a press release, Committee on House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight. Now, many people are aware that the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol protest event, supposed pipe bombs, and associated claims have been weaponized and propagandized to support the narrative that President Trump himself was and is an insurrectionist. That's why he's being prosecuted today on every level imaginable. He's an insurrectionist. The contrived narrative of this event and associated misleading video footage have been highly edited and manipulated, essentially a form of cheap, fake, psy-op propaganda. This was previously discussed at length in the coverage of the Epoch Times, in Kash Patel's book, Government Gangsters, and in many articles published in alternative media. Because the American media maggots won't touch it, they do the job of the Demorats. Many are also aware of the false narrative of a January 6th, 2021 insurrection by Trump supporters, which include Make America Great Again enthusiasts and patriots who had become convinced that there was widespread ballot box manipulation during the preceding presidential election cycle, and that's been carefully contrived and manipulated by the corporate media.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So Demorat party operatives, elected officials like Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney and the House January 6th committee, and they saw selective edited video and a wide range of manipulated leaks and press references were used by the J6 committee to develop and reinforce this narrative. So then, it should come as no surprise that when the Republican-controlled House convened investigations into these matters, the Committee on House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, it was revealed there was a wide range of lies, withholding of information, and promoted false narratives. Yet still the Mockingbird corporate media, what I call the American media maggots, persisted with their lies and misrepresentations and continued to support the promoted narrative of President Trump being an insurrectionist. And then September 20th of this year occurred. The Committee on House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight released a report which documents that the Department of Defense refused to act on a presidential command to secure the Capitol in anticipation of these protests. This is yet another example of the consequences of the politicization of the bureaucracy or administrative state, what a lot of people call the deep state, involving the Pentagon and Department of Defense, and in particular, the failure of the DoD chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, to act on the direct presidential order. Stop. Let me remind you of this. I'll bring that story back in just a moment. Do you remember what Mark Milley said? He had a line to China, who essentially said that he felt it was his duty to warn China that should Trump decide to make any inroads against China in terms of military use, that he was going to warn China first. Let there be no mistake. Maybe this gets me pulled off various sources. Milley and Lloyd Austin are traitors to the United States multiple times, also including the retreat from Afghanistan, botched and directly responsible for the deaths of 13 young American soldiers. That was treason. Milley was treasonous. Austin said nothing, didn't pull him. That also is treasonous. Look up the definition of treason, and then look up the punishment for treason, if you will. Let me continue with the article. The press release below should have had the American media maggots article, the headlines, all the time. It should have been heard all across the newsrooms. And nothing occurred. Nothing but crickets. And so essentially what they said is, and the press release is down here, they said that a lie occurred, a huge lie. Press release on September 20th from the Committee on the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight. Days before January 6, 2021, President Trump met with senior Pentagon leaders, urging them to do their jobs to protect lives and property. The transcripts released show Trump gave senior Pentagon leadership directives to keep January 6 peaceful, including using the National Guard, which the Pentagon leaders ignored. This revelation directly contradicts the conclusions drawn in the flawed DoD Inspector General report. They lied. They lied, and then they lied. Then they lied about their lies. I got about 5 minutes before the end of the show. Pentagon leadership prioritized concerns of optics. What would it look like? Over their duty to protect lives, said Chairman Loudermilk. President Trump met with senior Pentagon leaders, directed them to make sure events on January 6th were safe. It is very concerning that these senior Pentagon officials ignored President Trump's guidance and misled congressional leaders to believe they were doing their job, which they were not. The DoD IG's report is fundamentally flawed. That's a nice way of saying it's all a lie. It's specious bullshit. It does not draw conclusions from the interviews they conducted, but pushes a narrative to keep their hands clean. We have many questions for them, and we will continue to dig until we are satisfied the American people know the truth. Some things I can say on this show and some things I cannot. Let me just see if I can summarize in this fashion. Until there are consequences, deadly consequences, for governmental actions and inactions, the continued murder of American citizens will continue unabated. This current D.C. regime, the Harris-Biden regime, again, this is what I want you to take away from the show. You mean nothing to them, particularly if you're not an illegal invader and you're not voting for them, or you refute or even attempt to discuss something that they have laid down in concrete. Everything they say is right, and every opinion or thought or piece of pushback or even a willingness to have a discussion is absolutely wrong, and they will not discuss. The current government is not here to help you. They are here to drain you. They are to bleed you. They are to make sure that you exsanguinate, and in the meantime, they'll come into your house, kick open the door, and turn your couch upside down for change. That is your loving American government at work. I want to leave you with a final lie. I'm surprised, but I have kept this article. I keep these things because the internet frequently can be forever. Sometimes it gets scrubbed, but sometimes these articles continue on. This is from an article from, oh my God, of all places, Politico.com. And let me see if I can throw this on the screen. This is from Politico, September 4th, 2021, 3 years ago. Did you hear this? You're going to continue. If you watch my show, you're going to continue to hear this every now and then because it needs to be underlined and embiggened and boldened and italicized. DOJ error highlights January 6th mystery. Where was Kamala Harris during the January 6th attack? Bet you haven't heard this. You're going to continue to hear it from me. When pro-Trump rioters attacked the Capitol on January 6, lawmakers and Vice President Mike Pence fled for safety. Until recently, the Justice Department contended that Vice President-elect Kamala Harris was among them. But DOJ is now moving to correct the record, acknowledging in court that Harris was in fact away from the Capitol during the riot and only returned later to cast the key votes that certified her own ascension to the vice presidency. For those of you who just tuned in, let me again emphasize, she lied. She lied. She lies. She currently lies and will continue to lie in the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so kindly for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network and on Rumble, the SHR Media Group. If you want to contact me, I'm really active now, sort of active on Facebook, but I'm really active now that I picked it back up on my Twitter page at BZ's Saloon, Twitter X, at BZ's Saloon. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones and by the Arrakis ArcTalk Blue that I am using currently. And also, of course, from Pratt & Whitney engines delivering thrust. You can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. And of course, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting in less than 10 minutes, about 50 feet away from where I am sitting right here. Thanks to everyone listening live. Thanks to everybody listening in podcast. Listen to Edge of Liberty tomorrow at noon Pacific. I'm BZ. God bless. Take care. Everybody be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.